Hey, Jess. So I think we were having a connection issue. We couldn't hear Jess, and we're just like right at the heart of it. And so we're back. And Jess will come back here. Hey, thanks for coming, you guys. I really appreciate it. Um, Thank you so much, you guys. Hey, Gina, thank you for coming back, you guys. That's really kind of you. Um, I think Jess is a beautiful soul who's doing some really amazing things where he is because he's changing the lives of young people. Why? Because he's showing up in their lives. There he is. I'm going to go get him. There he is. There he is. Jess. Jess, can you hear me?
Yeah, I do not know what happened there. I was
Whew. That's all right. You're back.
so
Oh,
I got and I didn't I missed the last part of what you were saying. Dang it.
Oh no, that's all right. I can't even remember what I was saying, but whatever. I think it was just emphasizing that it's so easy to be disheartened with all of the destruction and the stuff that we see around. Heartbreak. We're seeing heartbreak. We're seeing anguish. We're seeing hundreds of years of heartbreak. And so, like, anytime my white friends and are like, "Well, what about that Lulu?" I was like, "I haven't even gotten there yet. I'm still sitting in the anguish and the pain." And I suggest you sit there with me. That's what
Yeah,
I suggest. I
amen.
suggest you sit right there with me. We'll analyze that later. But I know that, uh, and then what I was bragging about you to the people before you got here is that you're making a difference in the children's lives that you are a steward over, that you're a teacher over. Why do I know that? Because you're showing up. And you're showing up with the intention to make that difference. You're showing up, and therefore, when you show up, you will invariably have experiences and moments with them. And those experiences and moments, we never know which ones stick,
Nope.
will change their lives. They'll be talking about it on their television show or their podcast years from now about how, Mr. Guidroz, changed their lives. I was trying to throw out the Cajun. I don't know if I did
I,
it.
I like it. No, but I just feel so like undeserving, but I'm gonna really hold on.
Receive it. Yep. Because when you receive it, you're going to keep doing it.
It's, I totally I really believe in what I'm doing and I'm very blessed to do it. And it's I and especially now, just now more than ever. And you said something there that's really interesting. It's one of the biggest things I teach is learning how to be a listener. You might not understand them, you might not see exactly where they're coming from, but listen and try to practice empathy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not black, but I can only imagine. And I have black friends. I grew
Mm-hmm.
up a basketball player, hip
Mm-hmm.
hop 90s, Tupac. That's all I knew. I grew up this way, and to see any human being treated like that, watching that tape, it was that recording, so I can see
I couldn't even watch it at all. I couldn't.
I couldn't, but I
I
the looting, and although it might be something that people are like, yeah, but why are they doing this? The point is, okay, they're doing it because they're doing it.
Yeah.
That's they're on their own journey, but the way you feel about that is yours as well. Like,
Yes. You're preaching.
no,
Because you know what you're saying? You know what you're saying? Ask good questions. Good questions lead to transformation and expansion of mind and heart. Inferior questions lead to one of two things. You circle the drain and stay in hopelessness, can't do nothing, or you are more ensconced in what you already believe before you ask the damn question.
yep,
Now, I am not interested in the latter. I am not interested in the latter because it doesn't change anything. So for me to just be like, those jokers out there looting, why are they looting? No, no, no. Let's ask the question. Why would why would that be a needed response? Why would that be a knee-jerk response? What would make me, I'm a story girl, so you're just getting to know me. What would make me want to behave like that? What would make that happen? So here's a story. Are you familiar with the artist Brian Andreas?
no,
So brilliant. He's a brilliant thinker, artist, writer. Awesome. That's so sorry. And watch this. My power is going out.
Oh no.
No, that's all right. I'm back in. I'm back in business. I just have to take you off of my headset. I like hearing you in my head. I feel like I'm clear on that. But so Brian Andreas, brilliant man. He did story people like these little whimsical drawings with always very deep manifested thoughts, like truly, like you know, just brilliant. Anyway, I reached out to
Wow.
him, and he is somebody who came into my world in my early 20s. And I was like, hey, would you do an IGTV live with me? I know I'm not anybody. And you know what he said? Yes. So, right? So we meet here on IGTV, and he tells me the story. So Fia is his life partner. I don't know if they're married or if they're just, point is, Fia is his woman, okay? And she is so cute. So so he and Fia are telling me the story, like right when they were forming the company that they have right now. It was going through a lot of transformation, a lot of changes, new people, new thing. He was going through a divorce. Like it was not the prettiest thing, the prettiest transition. And they had this one older lady who was their babe, my husband's voice. They had this one older lady who was their secretary, or kind of like the office manager. And they were bringing in new systems for her to operate under, like new computer systems, new filing systems, new whatever. And she was a part of the older system. She was probably like a lady in her mid to late 60s. She had just lost her husband about 5 months prior to that. And I'm telling you that, put it aside. So she was really persnickety with Fia all the time. And one time, like, Fia had to, I said, have you ever watched Office Space? One time, Fia had to use her stapler. And it was not a pretty situation when she had to use her stapler. And the lady was like, you know, like, I put it here. And it was unbelievable, right? But Fia, because she asks good questions, at first she wanted to be offended and be like, listen, Biddy, you work for me. Because we can do that in our ego.
Oh
Get
yeah.
in line, you work for me. But she sat there for a minute after she left the room, and she was like, what would, nobody perceives themselves as a bad person in their narrative, right? Nobody does. I don't care what you're doing. In your narrative, you're the hero, and you have no idea that you are the bad guy in someone else's story. You have no idea about that. So she said, what would make that be an appropriate response for me with the moving of a stapler? And she went back to this and she said, well, what if I was a 68-year-old woman? I've been with the company for 15, 20 years. I just lost my husband 5 months before that. I'm questioning my value. I'm being asked to operate new systems that I feel inept to operate in. I'm feeling like a dinosaur, and like my relevance is on the table. And they have already sat down and judged that relevance to be irrelevant. Maybe if I felt that way, I'd be pissed off if you moved my damn stapler too. Right?
Empathy.
Empathy. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, but, and those questions transform me, because now I can interface with that lady and I don't take it personally. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with her pain.
And you know, the best way to reach her probably is just smile and thank you.
And leave her stapler alone, and leave that stapler alone. Right.
I had a very similar interaction. We have an older, without going into too many details, we have an older staff member in the office.
Uh-huh.
And she comes into a staff meeting that I'm in, and she pulls me aside in the middle of the meeting in front of other she says, do you know you have 2 students in your room? And I said, I do know that, actually. They're for Honor Society, and they're getting their hours by helping me take down stuff from my walls. And she said, and she kind of just lost it on me. I won't go into detail. In front of people, I grown my colleagues. So
she was mad at you.
She's mad at me. So
Okay.
I the room and I go and I on my way there, I'm thinking what you just mentioned, you know, what is she going through in her life?
Yeah.
What would cause someone to react this way?
React like that.
Happy. There's something probably under the surface here. And
But what I do know is it has nothing to do with these two students.
Exactly. So, and I go and I pull her aside, and long story short, I said this, I asked her those questions, and I looked at her like I really wanted to know, because I did. Hey, is everything okay? Like, are you okay? Is everything like, and it was at first, I was met with even more short responses, but when she saw, I was just very like, okay, hey, I will go tell them to leave, and I'm here if you need it. And I came back, and she was in tears. She pulled me aside. She apologized. She told me all these things going on in her life, and it was essentially she was venting. Mm-hmm. And we hugged afterwards. Mm. I walked out of her office, and now I know, when I walk by and she's uptight, I smile, give her the peace, and just keep moving.
Keep it moving.
But I listened. And I was empathetic. I wasn't reactive. And I think that's something that we're seeing right now, sort of exacerbated. That's on a global scale, and everyone's at home, so people are in front of their phones, and it's very important that we listen, but then we listen here too, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay. What am I being called to do? What am I being called to create?
Glory.
Who am I being called to connect with? And how can I show up as the best version? And I think that is a skill that needs to be taught, and it's being taught now, thank God.
Yes.
On these other
SEL,
and because of these, now the demand and the buy-in is just going to be even bigger. And I think that now that we have the people, we have the buy-in, it's just a matter of let's change the world. Let's really inspire to do it differently than we did.
It's so true. And at the base of what you said, I just want to put this on top. Even before you can even be compassionate, you had to be curious. You had to be curious. And then after curious, or I should say, first you had to care.
Yeah.
Then you had to be curious. And that's, if you weren't curious, you wouldn't have asked for the thing. You wouldn't have. I always think about motivations. Go to the intentionality. And if you go to motivations and intentionality, it will keep you from having your feelings hurt all over the place and from being mad at people that you shouldn't be mad at. Because you can have a bad result, but the intentions were good. Right. And so I say always go back to the original intention. Don't hold the person hostage to how it like sussed out, right?
Amen.
Because we all have stuff in our lives like that. Yeah, that you have this intention, you're like, I want it, and it like ends up being like this not so great thing. And it's not fun when people hold you hostage to the worst expression of the intention, like where the intention like went sideways or something like that. But that's why I just keep saying you got to be curious. If you're not curious, you wouldn't have asked the next questions. You wouldn't have, you had to care, then you had to be curious, and then you had to do it, right?
True.
Did you ever read Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements?
Oh, it's one of my favorites of all time.
That's because that's what you just did. You did the Four Agreements with her. I guess we should tell people about the Four Agreements. They are, do you remember them, Jess?
I think that a lot of people, when before we go, sorry. What was your question?
I said, I guess we should tell people what the Four Agreements are, because we're making assumptions because both you and I read it. But do you remember the Four Agreements? Yes. Yes.
Okay. Make no assumptions.
Never assume anything.
Be impeccable with your word.
Do what you say and say what you mean, and be bold enough to ask the questions.
Say what you mean, man.
That's right.
That's one of my most, yes. Don't take things personally. Don't take
anything personal, because how people are has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them.
Amen. And then what was the fourth?
So be impeccable with your word. Never assume anything. Oh my gosh.
Don't take
nothing personal. And
it's always the fourth one.
Never assume anything.
Wait.
Never assume. Be impeccable. Take nothing personal. Be impeccable. Right? Yeah. Did I already say that? My husband said I already said that. Wait, gosh, damn it. No, we need this.
There's a fourth that we're missing.
I don't know why I'm forgetting. Okay, so be impeccable. Never assume anything. Take nothing personally. Oh my gosh.
Hold on.
How did
right here.
You better tell me the fourth one. How's my brain doing that? Because I live by this. I'm like looking on my shelf over my shoulder. I'm like, where are you four agreements?
All right,
Don Miguel Ruiz.
here we go.
Where are they?
All right. Always do your best.
Always, that's right. Always do your best. That way you cannot be regretful that you didn't put it all out there on the line, right?
Percent.
Oh, yeah. So that's what you did. I love it.
Well,
Tell me what has been the huge takeaway from SEL learning and transformative teaching for you?
I mean, I feel like, I just putting the emotional well-being at the forefront, like making that connection with kids the very first thing you do, and making it the highest priority of education is mental, physical, spiritual, emotional well-being is the forefront. Like you said, Maslow's hierarchy, like doing that first, and we build, and then
that's right.
That's been the for me, the biggest aha moment, the biggest, most inspiring part of my job is definitely that.
Ooh, I love it. So I know also that you're a vegan and that you have this music fest and garden and everything. Talk to me about that and what's the inspiration behind all of that? Because I know it's community. That's what I know.
100% community, yeah. But for me, I'm an activist, so I see injustice and I have to take part. I watched a video that sort of was documenting what's going on with animal agriculture and 60 billion animals a year, and watching some of the footage that it's gruesome. And it's just, like you said, it's my little part. I feel like it's my little contribution to this new way. And the Veg Fest that we host is just sort of a celebration of compassionate living. It's not just vegan. It's really just, it's compassion. It's high vibes. It's good music, great food, great alcohol, great time. Yeah, right. And it's just and like you said at the jump, the big idea is community. I'm trying to this community in my city that is, cohesive, and that is, we all have the same intention. We're trying to see the positive change in the world, because I just want to be a part of that. It makes life more exciting for me, and also feel like I am, fulfilling my purpose. And
amen. What's the challenge?
What was that?
What's the challenge to this community? The motivations that you're in, what is the challenge to what you are doing and trying to build?
The biggest challenge is getting people to see the new way. It's, there's a lot of old money in my city. There's a lot of old laws, and there's a lot of old, just the demographic. I think the average age of my city, Santa Clarita Valley, is in the mid to high 40s. It's
wow. Me.
It's like which is great. Which is great. But I'm talking to the 19-year-olds, to the 20-year-olds, the people who are actually going to
who don't have any jobs yet, and don't have money, and don't have all of an ensconced way of how they're going to live and who they're going to be.
Exactly. And so the biggest challenge has been getting.
They haven't joined the country club yet.
Exactly. It has been getting the financial backing behind the movement, the belief in it, the support of it. We held our first one last year, and that's a lot easier the second year, because, we had 2,000 people come out, and it was like this.
What?
Yeah. Oh, it was off the charts. All the city officials were there. Like everyone was like the mayor's, he's opening us up for our next year's one. But because now people see it, they were like, who's going to be
There's
coming
a proof
to
of
this
concept.
veggie? Yeah, and then they see it and they go, "Oh shit! So this is
real.
Like, this is real." Like the lady's like, "Hey, at the city," she told me, she said, "If 500 people come, that's a huge victory." And I was like, in my mind, like, "Yeah, no, I don't see it that way," because she was, she's like 60 years old, and she didn't know how many, 20 to 30 to 40 to 50-year-olds we have who are going to come out and just rock out, backing compassion. Because it wasn't about vegan. It wasn't about, vegetables. It was about compassion for the planet, for our animals, for, this incredible, world that we inhabit. So it's just really, for me, you know, I call it a passion project, but it's more than that. I feel like it's sort of my calling, and along with teaching. And I think because teaching and what I'm teaching in the Veg Fest, they don't require, you know, all my time every day. It's this beautiful fusion where I can still do both,
Yeah.
but still have my wife and my 2 kids and still have time for me. And that's sort of like a secret little passion of mine, is I love speaking to that, because I have a lot of friends who they don't, you know, they're in their 30s or 40s, and they're saying, you
So
know,
what
it's
you're
always
saying is that young and sexy. Is that what you're saying?
amen. And I'm sure you hear it too, like, oh, I wish I had the time. And I'm showing you like, hey, I got a wife, a full-time job in this, because I believe in time management, but I also believe that I need to express this. I have to, for my own well-being. I can't hold it in. I was put here for this. And so don't
How
let
do you
time.
think you learned that?
Man, I do think a part of it is sort of been ingrained since I was a kid, you know, watching sort of my dad lead these movements, and watching my mom teach, and sort of, you know, they kind of always had that. But I also think I learned it through exploration, like self-exploration, like, you know, journaling and meditating and reading books and listening to podcasts, following new people and expanding my horizons, and seeing like, dude, this dude's doing it, this lady's doing it, this person's doing it. Why can't I do it? I have side of me. Why can't I? And I feel like the more
What
people,
one man can do, another can do.
Exactly. And I think that you know, we are sort of leading that way. We're showing people that you can, you know, have a 9 to 5, or you can do this, you know, this job that has been deemed good, but then still have time to you know, exercise that activist muscle, like contribute.
This is mine. This is mine right here.
And you're killing it, and you have this incredible energy. And I love how just you have, like, your energy radiates through this. I've never met you, but it's really fun, because I feel like you're very interested in me, but you're also very passionate in what you're doing. And it's, dude, this is so awesome. And I'm just, you know, I love that. But I know you feel me on
Feel it,
because you're doing it.
yeah. I do get fueled, and I feel you, and I know I kept bugging you. You didn't even know. I just, for the record, everybody, I kept reaching out to this guy, Jess, because I was like, nope, I want to talk to him. He is doing something in this world. He is dropping love. He's doing love bombs. He's very intentional. I saw what you were doing, and you don't do that by accident. You do that when you have the intention. So I asked you that question, like, hey, where do you think you learned it from? Let me tell you my reason I asked it. One, people who are watching this have children too. So I know we want to pour into our children what we can that will help them be better, actualized human beings who take their life as something special and sacred, and they need to be about the business of doing what they came to this planet to do. So I love that you said you saw your father doing this. You saw your mother doing it. And the other thing you talked about was self-exploration. And you know what that starts with? Curiosity. You have to be curious.
Yeah, have to.
Yeah, I'm scared of people who know all the answers. I am scared of people who know all the answers. I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus, here's somebody else who knows all the answers. They're usually the most daft and boring people to talk to, because they're not interested in you, because they already know everything.
Exactly.
And I think, wow, you're really missing out, brother.
It's true. It's so true.
You're missing out.
It's true. Curiosity is, I mean, it's like the flavor of life. It's like what makes life worth living, right? It's like being curiosity, exploring, like all these things that, you know, and I think that's actually like the silver lining even behind the pandemic, is that now people are having more time, you know, to do that exploration, whether it's just playing, you know, like not having to go to these meetings or be there at work at this time. Like we're sort of being freed up. People are reading more, listening to more podcasts. And I think it's all a part of this evolutionary shift, right? It's
true.
All a part of it. And it's like, I know it's hard for a lot of us to see silver linings, especially amidst the chaos, but I for my own well-being, but I think for the well-being of the movement, I have to find it, and I have to put my attention there. And
then I'm going to ask you another question. What is a silver lining, if you are able to, that you've been able to extrapolate right now from George's murder, from the outflow of pain? And, you know, my girlfriend, yeah, she's my best friend. I've known her longer than I haven't known her. Joy, they live in La Mesa, and right outside of San Diego, and she was seeing her city burn to the ground. It was a very visceral conversation, and it was hard, and I felt so bad, and I really did. I felt terrible for her pain, and I felt terrible that she felt threatened in her life, and I didn't want her to feel threatened. But I also understood the pain that causes that, you know, when you feel shut down and locked down long enough. That's why it's important to treat people like humans, because animalistic behavior comes out of not being treated like humans. It's not good. So I want to know if there is, and don't feel the pressure. You can be square in process, because I am too. I just want to know, is there, because I'm curious, is there a silver lining that you are extrapolating, massaging, using, seeing, or anything right now?
It's with as much, you know, the answer is yes. I think there's one. And I think it's change. I think the silver lining is that this is forcing change to happen.
Yes.
I think that's the only thing I can find right now, is that this had to happen for the highest collective shift and change to happen.
Agreed. And I hate that it had to be that way.
Oh, I think everyone does. I mean, it's so sad. It's the most, it's incredibly, you know, heavy and traumatic what's going on. But I think that if you look at your own personal life, when did most of your growth happen?
That's all of it happened in trauma. All of it happened in the crucible. That's the thing about it. You cannot, I wish I could give people growth and expansion in the lilies of the field, but I cannot. I have got to give it to you walking on the coals that are jagged and hard and are cutting. That is the only place that I grow. And I now am old enough to know that's the only place where growth will take place. It's just like in times of peace, you don't know the enemy from your friend. Right. In times of war, in times of turmoil, it is very clear who your enemy is, which is great, because now you can clearly see it. And it's also very clear who your allies are. So it always seems like the worst, the hardest things are the only things that bring us life. You know, white privilege is something that we're more willing to talk about today than we were even 2 years ago. And right? So where's that needle pushing? Where's that needle pushing? Where's that needle pushing? It's pushing towards love. And when I think about this, like when you said, well, Shay, really, when is there any other growth? You're right. In the crucible. Well, if there's anything my Black privilege has given me, because Blackness, I don't stand up taller over you on anything because I'm Black, but I can tell you what Blackness has given me. And I love to tell people this.
Tell me.
Because it has been hard, because it has been rife with moments, huge swatches of moments where you are made to know and believe that you are not enough, you are not welcome, you're inherently wrong, everything, the expression of who you are, and you've had to fight to be where you are. It has made me, the pain of it has made me know and how to recognize pain. So I have a supernatural ability to see, to smell pain, to sit in pain with you. And so if there's anything that Blackness has given me, it's given me a greater sensitivity to the brokenness in humanity. And I'm thankful for that.
And that's the greatest gift. I mean, you're going to be able to connect on levels that no one can.
I'm telling you, that's what my Blackness has given me, is because I know what it feels like to not be invited in that room. I know what it feels like to be shut out. So now when I'm standing in the bank, I see shut out on someone's shoulders. I see it. I smell it. When I'm going through the drive-through, I see it in the countenance of that lady who's passing you your Chick-fil-A or whatever it is that you're, so
Totally.
I'm thinking about I'm thinking about Viktor Frankl and Man's Search for Meaning. And I'm
Mm.
thinking about his 3 things that he says that we need to be able to have meaning in our lives, right? This time I'm going to remember them. man needs a reason to get up in the morning, something to do, put his hands to, right? Something that you have to do, Jess, something that Shay has to do. Second thing is man needs to be able to exist in community. Man needs community. Man needs to love unconditionally and
Yeah.
be loved unconditionally. And the third thing, which is the point that I'm talking to, is man needs to be able to look at his difficulties through a redemptive lens.
Amen.
So that's the redemption that my blackness has given me. The redemption is that I see you clearer than I could have ever seen you before.
Thank you for sharing that. Wow. Yeah, that's a gift. It's a gift. It's, you know, it's one that I feel like, it's funny, I can relate to the being gifted with lots of pain in my life.
Yes.
Right. And I think that usually the people who have gone through the most pain are the ones who can relate on the deepest levels, and that really, you know, do feel the most, and they can, you know, it's something that really does, you know, bring a unique, you know, a unique flavor to life is pain and trials and tribulations. And that's the only reason why I think when I look at what's happening in the world right now, I can say, okay, right now in this current moment, there's no silver lining. But I think big picture, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we'll look back, even maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, who knows? But we'll look back and go, that needed to happen for this to happen. So it's kind of, and it, you know, it's very, it's funny, like what happens in the micro and the macro, right? Like the similarities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How the shift, that's how any real change happens, right?
Yeah.
And so thank you for sharing that, though. I really,
thank you for listening.
Yeah, it's something. But in even white privilege, you know, with my white friends that I've been talking to, you know, we've all been very, you know, aware of, like, even I'll say something about an emotion that I had or something, and I'll immediately go, but what lens am I even seeing that through? Like what is that even accurate, or is that my privilege? Like, and 9 times out of 10, it's my privilege. It's like, it's my privilege. So therefore, like, I'm not going to say that, you know, like that's just that's what it is. And I can identify it now. Where 6 months ago, I couldn't have, or maybe
Isn't that powerful? Yeah. And I think the reason why white privilege has been so hard for white people to recognize is because their lives are shitty too. You know, like people have shit going on in their lives. And so it's hard to hear that you have a privilege when you're like, I can't pay my rent. My car broke down. My children won't listen to me. You know, like all these real life scenarios that are happening. And it's hard to believe that you have a privilege when your life doesn't feel easy. And that's what I was explaining on my morning run last week, is that privilege isn't that you don't have those difficulties. It's just that privilege is very simple. What white privilege is, your life is not made more complicated simply because you're white. So you're white, life is hard, but your whiteness doesn't make it more complicated. Life is hard for Shay. My complexion makes it more complicated for me for reasons that are outside of my power and honestly are downright stupid, but it does make it more complicated for me. And that's all it is. Just acknowledging that it could be a little bit more harrowing if you had to also, on top of the not being able to pay your bills and your car breaking down and your children not listening to you, being scared that you're being perceived as an aggressor in a situation where you're not an aggressor, or that you are. That's the thing about the narrative of racism, is that the narrative has nothing to do with me. You just met me, Jess, and I. So my friends know this, but I didn't know I was Black until I came to America the first time. It wasn't that I didn't know I looked like this. I didn't know that there was a narrative about this that had nothing to do with me. That had everything to do with this narrative that you wrote. And so everything I was doing I didn't realize, but I was either affirming or bucking against this narrative that they were like, no, no, you're going to live in this narrative. This is who you are. And I don't know why I just told you that, but I think it's just to understand that it's not to say that your life is easy. It's just to say that it's not made more complicated. Just like a man's life is not made more complicated because he's a man. A woman's
Right.
life is made more complicated because she's a woman. That's it. That's all
Very
that
true.
privilege is.
Very true.
And then I need you to acknowledge it.
Right.
You know, like I need you to acknowledge that I had to go through some extra stuff to get where I am. Because you can't tell me, yes, someone just said being a gay man is more complicated for, absolutely, it is more complicated. And anybody who tries to pretend that they do not have a straight privilege is lying. We do.
Yeah.
All of the movies are for us. All of the stories are for us. The narratives that exist that we lay ourselves in, they are for us straight people. And that's not lost on me.
No way. Me neither.
Right.
I lead the LGBTQ club at our school at lunch on every Friday, and I see that.
I love you.
Yep, and that is one of the most neglected. I mean, we not.
No,
just,
go into it. Dive into that real quick. I want to hear that.
I mean, just talk about a population on our school that is just not addressed and that just feels lost and that needs connection.
Out of home.
You know,
because
and
we need connection. We need community.
We need it. And the crazy thing about the community is there's about 28 kids that come to my room every lunch on Fridays. And this community, this LGBTQ community is so like infused in one another. Like they're just so supportive. They're so encouraging to each other and they're loving. And it's like, wow, that is so powerful.
Yes.
But when they leave my room on Fridays, it's like back to the harsh reality that most aren't seeing or living life with, is that feeling of seclusion, that nothing applies to me. I'm misunderstood. I'm judged, ridiculed. I'm, you know, it's just, there's a lot.
Are most of your students who are LGBTQ, are they out to their families or are they still in?
It's about 50-50. I think it's about 50-50. I think if anything, more are not out than are.
I hate that. I mean, here's the smarter question. The smarter question isn't, why are you gay? The smarter question is, what are we doing in society that a young person is living, breathing, showering with their family and doesn't feel free to tell them all of who they are? We're doing something wrong. We're doing something wrong. That's the intelligent question. That's the higher question, because that leads to transformation. Why would a kid, your home is supposed to be the safest place in the world for you. Why would a kid not feel like they can share that? What have we done? What have we done to make that person feel vulnerable and not safe to step out on and say that? That's where I'm like, I'm always going to land on the transformation question, because I don't want to be a person who creates a reality for a young person like that. Right. That group is one of the highest suicide rate groups in the world.
It's true. No, it's true. And it's systemic, right? It goes so deep there. There's so much to unpack there that at least now we are realizing that is an issue, the same way we're realizing these other issues, that no, like white privilege is real, like straight privilege is real, like, hey, these things are real, but hey, like the new way is cool, so let's address them, let's talk about it, let's really dive in and let's have this dialogue, and let's do it. It starts with, you know, me and you on IG, but who knows what that's going to look like in 5 years from now, which to me, it excites me. I'm like,
me too,
you know, because it's progress. I believe in that. And I do, you know, I'm an optimist by nature. And
me too.
And yeah, and sometimes that's to our detriment, but I think that it's important. And
but the world needs us.
Anyone who's watching this, I think it's important that even if you're not a natural optimist, to still see, like, look at history, like, there's been some of the darkest times, but it's like we evolve and we grow and we move in this direction, and that's what's happening now. Don't forget that. Don't lose that, because I do believe in it, and I hope more people begin to adopt that mentality and that perspective. I really
Yeah, you're amen. You remember the movie Shawshank Redemption?
love that movie.
Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things. Yeah, hope is necessary. If you don't have hope, what are you doing? What are you
Sure.
doing? So I think there's a call to hope. And I think it's good for you. Even if you don't feel naturally optimistic, even if you don't feel optimistic right now, don't stop hoping. Actively hope. Actively hope. Well, thank you, the gentleman. Actively hope, because I think that changes stuff. Again, if we only interface with each other from a fractured place of no hope and hopelessness, again, we don't connect. And when we don't connect, we don't feel human. And when we don't feel human, we don't treat each other like humans.
Amen. It's true.
Yes. I love that you said that. Jess, I know I've kept you, but I want to ask you a few more questions. Okay.
Cool.
What is a book that is speaking to your soul right now?
The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown.
Ooh, I have that one. I haven't read it yet, but I have it.
I'm behind. I read Braving the Wilderness, then I read Daring Greatly, and now I'm like, okay, like I just learned about Brene Brown a couple of years ago, so I'm diving through her work right now, and it's kind of crazy going through those books at this time, because I don't know if you remember them, but it's very applicable to what's going on, and how different views are separating us when they should just be, no, that's your perspective, fine, but hey, love, like I see you. You are a human divine being. You are not your perspective on this one little issue, right? And for me to read her, this studied, honored scholar, the credibility doesn't. To hear her saying it with it, just when somebody in that,
it validates it. It validates it.
100%.
Yeah, it's not just like through emotion, and over here in the new age thing, and then I was the crystal star. It's like it validates what you're saying. Yeah, it makes us know the things of the heart and of the spirit are important, not just the intellect.
Totally.
We know how to grow the intellect, don't we? We know how to read. We know how to put stuff, facts, information. One of my friends, Brooke Boone, she's always talking about, like, I don't need another fact. We don't need any more facts. We have enough facts.
True.
She's like, we got the facts. We get it. I'm fact out. She's a white lady. She's like, as a white woman, I am fact out. Now what I need to do is lead with heart.
Amen.
And I was like, you know what? You are my type of white lady. I like you, Brooke.
Mine too. I like her too. That's
right. So I
love
that. Gifts of Imperfection. Go ahead.
No, just the word wholehearted. It's one of my favorite words. Lately, my wife and I, we've been using, our intention almost every morning has been lighthearted. So that's sort of the new, it's been wholehearted the last couple of years, and now it's lighthearted, like having a lighthearted.
I think I need to have some time like that with my husband. I haven't, that sounds beautiful. It sounds like having those moments, you are unable to be disconnected, aren't you? Because you held that space that in that morning. Yeah. You know what? Back pocket, putting it here, we'll be doing something like that.
And will you let me know, Shay, when you do it, how it goes?
I will. How long does it last?
I mean, every morning is differently. Every morning is different. Some mornings we're together out there for 10 minutes, just kind of processing, sharing, lighthearted is fun. And we've had mornings we've been out there, the kids running around for an hour and a half, both crying, both, just helping each other through something. And it's just, and then having the cacao, it doesn't have to, it could be, we use coffee sometimes too, but tea, whatever, but just something ceremonious about, we're not going to take a sip till we've set our intention. And while you're sharing with you, I'm listening. I often close my eyes because I really want to hear what she's saying. And then let's fully process this out. And then when we've kind of done it, now it's my turn. My intention today is, and it just, like I said, sometimes it's lighthearted. like yesterday, it was 10 minutes because she said, my intention is to be lighthearted and play with the kids. And I said, that is mine. And I want to be present with the kids. And she said, great, cheers. We boom. Kids came over. It was kind of just playing. 2 mornings before that, the heaviness of what was going on was weighing on both of us. We had a big family gathering we were going to that we knew it was going to get brought up. And we, wanted to make sure we had processed it before. So we're not just dumping our shit on our parents or whatever,
Right.
So it's just different.
Or they're not just dumping their shit on you and you're running with some like scary, horrible, even heavier stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. What is a song? And this is out of what I'm doing right now. I used to love watching Inside the Actor Studio with James Lipton.
Yes.
I know. I'm a nerd. I mean,
That's cool.
It was like the biggest low budget talk show in the world. But I was like, ooh, Inside the Actor Studio was on. I loved it. And I,
Yes.
his little mustache, his very stiff way of asking the questions. But I was like, I am just glued. I want to see what he's going to say. So I want to know, what is a song or record or musician that's really doing it for you right now?
I have 2.
Give it to me.
I'll give you the album and then I'll give you the song. The album is Victory Lap. It's by Nipsey Hussle. And he is a local legend and, came out of Los Angeles. But he was constantly, talking about the struggle, overcoming all odds, pursuing your passions, regardless of what you're fighting against. He's my biggest role model as far as like somebody who made it, came back and gave back to his community.
I love that. I love that I want people to hear that. I love that this white young man in California, a huge mentor and idol of his is Nipsey Hussle. I love that. Love that.
Down. And I would go as far to say is the biggest for my personal, for my growth. The funny thing, even as an entrepreneur, when I first heard him 5 years ago or 6 years ago, like that started the whole like having, if you ever watch any of his interviews, it's incredible. It's literally like getting game given to you for free. It's like a podcast.
I know. He was brilliant.
Brilliant.
He was brilliant. And I love it when brilliance shows up like that, because he was brilliant and he didn't have the package that you thought brilliance came in, but he was brilliant. Amen. He was sharp. I heard him and I was like, that is this brother is dropping it. I heard him on Gary Vee and I was like, he made me so proud. I was like, go ahead, Nipsey.
Yeah. And if you
hustle it out, bruh.
Yeah. And if you even watch Gary Vee talking to him, there's this interview that they did kind of off the record that wasn't on his podcast, but it was like watching Gary interact with him was like Gary was looking to him. Like Gary was looking for inspiration. Like he was that kind of character. So when I hear his music, it's very inspiring. So that sort of has been, I've been listening to Victory Lap for about 18 months, not like consistently, but at least once a week.
I'm going to go listen to it after this.
Giving it
Victory Lap.
It's game. And then the other one, the past few days has been a Tupac song. It's called I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto.
Ooh, I wonder if Heaven got a ghetto.
It's powerful. It's powerful. It's but it's about change. It's a lot of, talk about, there's even talk about rioting and police and just sort of like, he's sort of predicting it, and this is a 24-year-old man at the time when he wrote the song, like a 24-year-old man living in Los Angeles wrote this song. He's died now and he was killed. And it's like his music is reigning true more now than ever before. And it's like, and the song is incredible. So it's been really inspiring to me recently.
Love that. My sister just sent me an old Bob Marley song. She lives in Exuma, Bahamas. Like I told all my family, they live in the Bahamas. I'm the only one living here. And can we say hello to you in Ireland? Absolutely. Pat Fantha Garden. What's up? Thank you guys for even tuning in.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. And I was just saying something. I just forgot what I was going to say because I wanted to make sure they felt embraced.
all your family
Oh
lives in the Bahamas?
yes, all my family lives in the Bahamas. My sister just sent me a song, an older song from Bob Marley, and the lyrics were just like, "We'll be in the streets until the arm of oppression is pulled from our neck. We will be looting. We will be, I mean, riot. I mean, this is what the song says." And Bob has been gone for some time, and he wrote this in his earlier part of his career. So it's you know, where does that come from? The creatives, we need them. It is the only reason why we know history and we have art preserved. We have anything. We keep it because of the poets, the writers, the painters, the sculptors. They bring it to us. And
Yeah.
that's why I think Nipsey's words are so, as Bob Marley's words, are so spot on for right now in 2020.
Amen. No, it's so true.
It's amazing.
They were revolutionaries. Tupac, Bob Marley, Nipsey Hussle. I mean, these guys were revolutionaries, like
For real.
to their core.
Yeah, and you know what I'm learning too is you are revolutionary, and revolutionary doesn't feel revolutionary. You know what it feels like when you're making changes in people's lives, when you are parting the seas and giving them hope and a clear vision of what to do and making them know that they can do it. You know what that feels like? It feels like every day. It feels like every flipping day. It doesn't feel like anything special. So if you're waiting for that special feeling like, oh, I'm really making a difference, that special feeling is never going to jump on you. That's why you have got to pay attention to your intentions. Because I can tell you this, when Tupac wrote those words, his intention was to write down the bones of his heart and connect with people. So was Bob's.
Yep, their truth.
That's right. That is right. So that's why I want you to know, brother, where you are, I see you. And you are making that type of difference. And wherever the people are who are watching that, they are making that type of difference, because revolutionary, life transforming, life sticking moments, they don't feel special.
No.
They feel like any other moment, but you got to show up to have them.
And you have to.
You know?
You have. Well, thank you for that. I am definitely gonna receive that and back. Jesus, the passion that you speak with and the way that you're, I mean, shining this light, this is so powerful. I mean, we've got people in Ireland right now, and it's like, but that just shows like that's you. This is your right here, this conversation, this is because of you and your boldness. This is your truth. You can just tell. You're speaking it. And I think you would agree, and this is to anyone who hears this too, is that in order for you to be able to be tapped into your truth, and in order for you to reach this point in your journey that you've reached, like, you had to go there. You had to really look for it. You had to really, I think people, we get caught up on that, don't we? Like a lot of people, when you're just starting the journey, but I don't know what my truth is. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. Live, keep looking.
That's right.
To find it. Just set the intention, live your life intentionally, and just try to find it. And it will find you, and you will be in alignment. You know, people like Bob Marley and Tupac, they weren't 12 years old speaking that truth necessarily. Maybe they were, but they had to get and really, boom, it chose them. And it chooses all of us if we seek it out.
And it all came out of difficulty. None of that came out of ease. Bob was a bastard child to a white Scottish, I believe Scottish or Irish father. And his father was, the Marleys were alcoholics, really raging, harsh alcoholics. He was not an accepted child. Like, it was, Bob had it hard, you know, and then he was like this pretty light-skinned boy in the middle of the hood. Like, it was hard. It was hard for him, you know, like, and this is what I want to say this because I know this to be true. And I'm going to ask you this question. I know this to be true. The stories that we most want to hear and the stories that change our lives are the stories that are hardest to have lived. The hardest to have lived. But they are the only stories that change our lives. And they're the stories we want more of.
Exactly.
So I am writing that type of story. You are writing that type of story. And every person, wherever you are in the Caribbean, Ireland, wherever you are in the United States, if you're writing hardship, you're writing stories that transform the world, because they will transform lives. They will. Right? Power, brother, power.
To
Mic
drop.
Mikey, oh my gosh. So what is something that you know? What's a thing that I know? Jess, Guidroz. Guidro. As I drink a little water.
I don't know a lot, but I do know that every single person on this has a truth and they have a purpose. And that some of us, we've known it from when we were kids. Some of us won't ever know it, unfortunately. But for those of us who seek it, we'll always find it. That's what I do know. I do
Those
know
of us who seek our truth, we will find it because we all have a truth and a purpose. Love it.
That's it.
Second to last question. What's your favorite word?
Thrive.
Thrive. I love it.
I would say I was going between thrive or presence. I think presence is what I seek most. In presence, I'm the happiest when I'm present, but I think that presence allows me to thrive. So I think they kind of go hand in hand.
I love it. What sound or noise do you love?
Sound or noise. That's
James Lipton. I can't own it.
No. I don't want to sound cheesy, but my daughter's laugh. I mean,
that doesn't sound cheesy.
My daughter's laugh is the most. She's 1.5, and it is the most organic, pure I have ever heard when she laughs.
I know what you mean. I remember. That's how we felt about our daughter's laugh. Her laugh was so like guttural and deep. She laughed for the first time when she was 5 months, like really like out. And we would do everything just to make her laugh. We're like, and how about this? Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I get it. It's beautiful. If heaven exists, what do you want God to say when you get there?
It's so funny. I keep getting these two responses. I'm a Gemini, so I get two responses. I think like that one side of me, I want to be like, "What up?" You know?
What up? I love it.
The other one is welcome home.
Jess, thank you so much for this time together. It has been magical for me, and I hope you have been touched wonderfully by it as well.
I have, Shay. No, thank you. Thank you for having me. And anything I can do to spread this, just let me know. You could message me. I'll get you, and I'm going to send you my phone number so we can even text too.
Please do.
I'm bad with DMs.
Yeah, he was, y'all. He ignored me for a long time. My feelings were hurt. No, they weren't. They weren't. Come on.
And I apologize.
You did. You're like, I'm so sorry.
I know. But this far exceeded even what I thought could come of this dialogue. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, you have a beautiful day. I look forward to getting your digits, and I'm going to need your personal address because I always send a written note to my people.
You're awesome. I'll get you.
You're awesome. Bye, beautiful.
Bye.
Peace. Bye.